Henry, it's a pleasure to have you here today, and it's been obviously a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
The last time I did this with a so-called celebrity, his name was Clarkson.
The rubber bumper midget. Help yourself free, says the sign. Welcome to Old Classic Car Channel, and today we're at Weston Park Classic Car Show. We're quite early, so I'm not quite sure what's going to turn up. We brought the MX5, which feels a little bit of a cheat really, but the cut-off is 2007 and the MX5 is 1995, so I guess we're playing along. They're still fairly quiet. Another MX5. They're still fairly quiet at the moment, so we're going to wander down and just see what comes through the gates way over there near the main hall. This one's for sale, £7,500. There's a rarity, a Jensen SV8. We're going to walk down to the entrance and just see the cars as they arrive, but I couldn't not have a quick look at this Morris Minor pickup. There's a great period load in there. A real survivor car, or pickup rather. Quite an interesting bonnet lock arrangement. Mk1 A Series 1 Daimler. Is that a Coleman Milne? Mustang. Very smart E30. Try not to get run over by a Series 3 E-Type Roadster, no less. And Jaguar S-Type. Had to be at least one Morris Minor here, didn't it? A Land 2+2. A few more coming in now behind the motorbike. Capri. Land Rover. Got some American cars rolling in now, beginning with a truck. Sounds like a nice V8 in this one. Volvo P1800S. Ball gourds. There's that Cortina Ute from South Africa. I think they call them backies, someone told me in the last video at Cape Thorne. A couple of classic Fords coming in now. Mark II Escort. Very smart four-door car. The Mark II console convertible. Next in through the gates here at Weston Park, Triumph Dolomite. A Sunbeam coming in now. Is it a Tiger? 1965. Alpine, Spitfire, Ford Cortina Mark 1 four-door, 1965.
Very nice.
Very smart Mini, and the Sirocco Mark 1. Very fruity sounding VW Corrado. Is this a V6?
Okay.
1500.
That's tight.
Coming up the drive, a wonderful Triumph Roadster. Look at that. Got a pair of MGs coming up now. An MGB Chrome Bumper Roadster in the 4. The rubber bumper midget. That's a 6. Got Audi Quattro. Bentley Mulsanne. The Tickford Capri. It's a rare beast. Mark II Escort. Another very smart Capri. Rover 800. Jaguar E-Type leading in a Ford Cortina Mark II. A 35. Here we've got a Triumph TR7. A lovely Alpha. Here a Ford Transit Mark II van. Distinctive V8 burble now of two Mustangs. Pair of Z3 BMWs. BMW 2002 or 1602, I'm not quite sure which one. Followed by a 356 Porsche. A Ford Cortina Mark III. XJS convertible. Perfect for a day like this in an MG Magnet. Lovely car. Harley's going to be happy. We've got a Triumph GT6 Mark II. Here's a bit of a thing for GT6s. It's lovely, that is. You always get a few lorries here at Weston Park. Nothing super duper old, but we can't really talk, so we've got that Ford that we saw driving in, ERF. Scania and several more ERFs. This old milk float's pretty neat. Unigate milk float, Milkman of the Year 1987. Here's that Mark II Transit that we saw driving in before. And the diesel Land Rover. It's got a badge for Perkins on the front there. The bay window VW camper. Perfect for brewing up at a classic vehicle show like this. And here, an oldish late 1970s Humber motorhome. Now that's quite unusual. I've never seen one of those before. Clearly Opel based. The grille looks a bit like a CF Bedford, but it's actually quite an unusual vehicle. That's really neat. Must get some photos of that before we go. It's always nice to see something different at these type of events. A Bedford Blitz. Of course, there was the Opel Blitz back in the 1940s, 1950s. But this has got a badge on the back for Bedford Blitz. There's also some details here, presumably of one of the supplying dealers. Way back before it came over here. That's really cool. I'm really pleased to see that. I like the hubcaps. One on the front there looks very much like a Bedford CF. Well, let's go and see what else is here. This one's won a few trophies in its time. health and safety. Now here's a Rolls-Royce with a difference. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but wow. A more familiar territory in Morris 8 Series E. The E21 3 Series BMW Alpina. The Lotus Exige.
Yeah, straight out the middle for me. Keep going on the right.
God, what a lovely Humber estate. Is that a Super Snipe? Very swish Bentley now.
Straight up the middle for me. Straight up the middle and see a spark there. Yeah, I've got a bottle boiling away there. I'm alright. Alright. With the foot today. No problem. Yeah, straight up the middle for me.
Oh, I think it's probably a good time to start having a walk around and see what else is here. Parked up at Weston Park. Well, over here we've got a nice Mark III Mini. You can tell it's a Mark III because there's no exterior door hinges on it and no slidey windows. They've got all modern, they've got wind-up windows now. This is on Cooper or Cooper S rims, I'm not quite sure which. Otherwise, looks like a very original Mini. A very nice number plate on there. Proper separate digits, they always look the part. And we've got a TR6, 1972 or 3. Very bright day, another TR6 and another TR6. And carrying on with Triumphs, we've got this somewhat modified 4-door, I assume it's a Dolomite. Wow. That's quite something, that is. Next to that, we've got this RS Capri, RS 3.1. Next to the RS Capri, a very smart Granada, and an earlier Mark 1 Granada. Oh, I love the period mods on this one. The new room is these windscreen stickers. That's fantastic, I love that. And not only the sun strip on the top of the screen, but we've got tiger skin seat covers. Wow, can't quite see them with the window up, but you get the idea. And furry dice as well. That's a super clean car. 3 litre V6. Got an Escort Mark II. Rover 75. RS 1600i. It's quite a rare car now. Let's go and have a look at row 2. The cars are grouped roughly by decade, although we're in the sports car section. There's a separate section for those, but generally speaking it's by decade, and I'm assuming this is 1970s. A fantastic Citroen DS. What a cool car that is. Can we see inside? The windows open a little bit. Incredible car there. Next to that, a Morris van. Always nice to see Morris vans and pickups out and about. Fairly thin on the ground now, so good ones are pretty thin on the ground. If you're going to buy one, start looking for rot from the top and also under the bottom. Separate chassis, the chassis tend to rot on them, whereas the saloons are monocoque, including the Traveller estates. The vans and the pickups have the separate chassis, so they always rot, and the gutters always go as well. So some people even replace the entire back end with a fiberglass van body, which I guess if you've got a rotten body will get you back on the road. And a gorgeous Alfa here, N-Reg, one of the 105 series cars. What a beautiful car that is. Austin 10.4 coming in. Let's go have a quick look at that. It's always nice to see them driving as opposed to just parked up. So that's a 32 to 34 Chrome Rad Austin. And a standard dropper coupe. A post-war car, no vents in the side of the bonnet, so it's a post-war car as opposed to the pre-war flying version. I'm guessing it's a 12 or something. Where was I? Ah yes, ogling over this the Alfa Romeo. Let's have a look inside. Cool, how stylish is that? Stunning bit of kit. And a very cool Vauxhall Victor alongside. Is that an FD Victor? It's a rare survivor. MGB Roadster. Chrome bumper car, of course. Perfect for a day like this. The Rover P6. So what engine have we got in this one? Is it a 2000 or a 2.2? I don't know. It's a super clean car. How comfy is that? It's a 2200 according to the steering wheel. Manual gearbox. Let's have a look under the bonnet. Of course this was originally designed with a gas turbine engine in mind, but that never happened. Some photos of the restoration here. This has had everything done to it that works. I've seen this glorious Mercedes here before. What's this? Goodies on the floor for sale. Ooh, anything we need. Sidewell Minx things. Triumph GT6 and Vitesse 2 litre workshop manual. Don't think we need any of that. It's always worth having a look just in case. But no, that's a beautiful Merc. What a stylish bit of kit that is. Complete with a Radiomobile radio, I suspect. I'm sure that's a Radiomobile. Next row we've got a VW Beetle. And rustypaint.com. Clearly I like a bit of the rat rod look. Porsche wheels. A nice early Range Rover Classic L registration. I remember a neighbour of ours had one of those, one of the first cars back in the 1970s. Bright yellow with a black stripe down the side it was. There's that Series 1 Daimler. K registration. It's a short wheelbase car, I think. Manual. That was a manual gearbox one. Most of these are auto. I'm guessing manual Daimlers, which are always a slightly plusher car, probably quite a rare sight. Most of them must have been automatic, I would have thought. I do like my series ones. I've had a couple of 6s and an XJ12. That was a glorious car, but these drive so nicely. They're just incredible cars to drive. An E-Type V12, 5.3 litre of course, automatic as most of them were, but you could get a manual, but there weren't so many of those. I'm guessing the auto box probably suited the lazy sort of GT approach of the Series 3. Many carburetors, 4 Strombergs. Same engine as I had in my XJ12, and all these balance pipes were missing. So, well, they were in the boot, so I had to piece all that back together, which was quite exciting. Rebuilt all the carburetors on it, and it ran really, really nicely. It's the same engine as that. It used to get very hot. The XJ12, the battery, was on the bulkhead, and the underbonnet temperatures were so great that the battery box even had its own separate fan, just to try and stop it from boiling up. It was an incredible car, but it was a bit of a tight fit with such a big engine. There's the engine bay of a fuel-injected 2.5 litre TR6. No Webers on this one. Many people do convert them to Webers and triple dual autos and things like that. Got a rubber bumper MG Midget here, 1500 of course, Triumph based engine. This one's a bit unusual as it's got the period Dunlop Alley wheels on it. Just like my uncle's Cox GTM had in the 1970s, I remember those wheels. Super clean car. Bit of revving going on over the back there, but nothing interesting. And Morris Cooper S, C-Reg 1965. All the build data here. The different variants of Minis and Mini Coopers. That's a beauty, that is. Alongside that, the Triumph Spitfire. I'm guessing that's a Mark IV. It should have had the 1296 engine, the bigger brother to the Standards engine that we've got back at home. Should have probably brought the Standard, but it's just a little bit far for a test drive at the moment, but maybe next time. Got a dolly here, and this again has got the very similar engine. I assume it's a dolly, it's not a 1300. And there's that 2.5 litre Cortina pickup. This we saw at Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but someone there popped a note in the comments to say that these come from South Africa. I don't think they all had the V6 engine, but this one I think does. It sounded quite nice when it came in. Super rare sight over in this country. A Triumph Stag, letting its 3 litre V8 cool off slightly. Escort Mark 1 Mexico, looking jolly nice. Is that a proper dealer supplier sticker in the back window? Looks like I've got a fair bit of walking to do today, so let's press on. We've got an MGB Roadster K-Reg with the recessed plastic grille they had for a short time. We've spoken about those before, so I won't repeat myself here. Another 1500 Midget alongside it. Which would you have, a Spitfire or a Midget? Rivals back in the day sold at the same time. Towards the end of their lives they were sold at the same time in the same BL dealerships. There was a lot of brand loyalty, mark loyalty back in the day, so MG buyers wouldn't go anywhere near a Spitfire and vice versa, I suspect. I was always a bit of a Triumph person when I was growing up, I must admit. Well, I've got an MGB now, so probably got a foot in both camps really. Another really nice classic Mini there. Mark II Cortina. Does it say which model it is? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, 1600E, the Executive. These are really well spec cars for the day. Just one step down from the Cortina Lotus version, and there's that glorious Moggy Traveller. What a beauty that is. Just look at the condition of that. There's a few hours gone into this. Fantastic. There's that Mark III Cortina, how cool is that? Such a common sight back in the 1970s, but not so much now. Especially these sort of more base versions. You see some of the GXLs, which are the posh ones, But these base level, so 1.3s and 1.6s, and this is a 1.3 going off the badge on the wing. So that's a real treat to see that. Such a survivor, because these things used to rot like crazy. Cortina L, complete with nodding dog in the back window. And who remembers that? You put your own stereo in and bolt a couple of speakers onto the rear parcel shelf. No built-in stereos in those days. And VW corner here. Perfect for a day like this. Brew up, hide away from the sun when you need to. Ideal. I've no idea what's going on with this Rolls. Cannon run. Wow. Healy 100, I think. Although the registration is somewhat later, so I'm guessing it probably isn't a factory car. I'm guessing it's probably a look-alike-y. This is on a Q8, so I'm guessing it's the same story with this. Nice car on a day like this. S-Type. Look at this mighty Ford here. Wow. You swallow up a bit of polish with this one. Mark 4, is it a Zephyr or a Zodiac? I never quite remember. I think this is a Zodiac, isn't it, with the 4 headlights? Oh, what a belter.
As he said it, if I can't take it to shows, no point keeping it.
Things are getting a little bit more modern as we walk up here, so I'll just have a quick zip round. This Escort here was at a pub meeting just a couple of days ago that I went to. Surprised how often you see the same cars at different meets. Here's the owner of the Car Traction YouTube channel.
What do you think of that Rolls-Royce over there?
The Rolls? Yeah, it's different.
I quite like it actually, because I like it when cars that are made for something are used for something else.
Yeah.
Because it does look quite cool, doesn't it?
Over here's a tasty looking Capri Mark 1. It's a 2000 GT. That's probably quite a rare version actually. In the XL is a posh spec. And most of the early Capris I see are either the really base models or the 3.1s. That's a Burton tuned. They're like a tuning company, aren't they? You could eat your breakfast off there. Oh, what have we got here? Another Mark. What have we got? Just an Escort coming in. Cortina 2000, the Mark 3, another one. This is a GT, the twin headlamps. Capri. Look at that interior. How 80s is that?
Looks like Jackie Stewart's wardrobe.
Jackie Stewart's wardrobe, yeah, it does a bit.
Well, no, it's not the right colours for tartan actually, is it?
Oh, we've got a Mark 5 Cortina. You quite like these, don't you?
I like the Mark 4 and Mark 5.
Yeah, they're okay, aren't they? Yeah.
Obviously, I prefer like the
Capri, a 2.8i. And a Laser, limited edition.
A Capri with the smaller engines. A lot of them are the 2.8s or 3 litres actually.
Yeah, Silver Spirit.
Yeah.
Try not getting this gentleman's photograph.
6s.
An XJ40 here. Got the twin headlights, twin circular lamps. That was usually a sign of the 2.9s if I remember right. And the 3.6s had these sort of rectangular lamps, but things changed over the years, so it could be something different altogether. This is a 4 litre. This is slightly later. Very smart car indeed. These things rotted for England back in the day, so good ones are probably going to become quite rare. Obviously the sills and the arches go on Jaguars as always. But on the XJ40s you also have to pop the bonnet open and check the bulkhead because they can rot out around there, and if the rot's got in there badly, that's probably the end of the day for the car. Back to the 1960s and 1966 to be precise, and a Vauxhall Viva HA. Stromberg carburettor there.
Both mentioned the strong.
Did you? Oh, did you mention that as well, did you?
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is an SL or a Deluxe, or it's one of the posher ones, isn't it, with the strips down the side. SL, 80, 90.
£9, yeah.
Yeah. Wheel trims, two-tone paint. Somewhat plusher than the base versions, which you occasionally see at some of these shows. Let's have a quick peek inside. It's got a Webasto roof even. Super clean in there. great that. What we got here? It's a VW. I'm not sure which one this is. It's a Polo or a Derby, or not quite sure. Opel Monza GSE. The Capri Mini. The Capri 280. This was the run-out model of the 2.8. The Porsche 944. We saw quite a few of these at Weston Park yesterday. Various Porsche races going on. Big club presence there as well. It's a super shiny example. Well, we've got the commentary going in the background now, so I won't spend too long at this end of the road, but this is a 1750 GTV. So it sounds like we're going to be reminded to put some sunblock on. There's that TR7 convertible. That Tickford Capri we saw driving in before. SL Mercedes, very nice too. And that early Sirocco. Rover SD1. The car I really wanted to have a look at was this glorious Mark II console convertible. Wow. I think I'm going to have a look at the information sheet and the screen of this one by Car Bodies of Coventry. If I zoom in on this, you can have a pause and just have a read of this properly.
Very, very important, and I was a victim of that just 2 weeks ago. I was doing a show, no hat on. It wasn't anywhere near as warm as it was today, but I ended up with exhaustion, and I was poorly for about 5 days. So what we've got to do, make sure...
Really rare survivor that. I mean, I don't know how many they sold compared to the saloons back in the 1950s, but it must have been a very small proportion of console sales.
You're well covered, especially around the shoulders, etc. And just be mindful, we're into the summer now.
Advice on the hot weather.
Yes, panic, panic. Nice radio.
I do like the British take on American like style.
Yeah, it's sort of like an American car in miniature, well, sort of miniature. Yeah. Yeah, well, they did a convertible version of the Zephyr as well, didn't they? Which was a 6-cylinder. This is the 4-cylinder, the console. Yeah, I really like that. And a 4-door Escort alongside.
We've got a judge called Peter Fleming who's been taking a military 4x4s and
I just wanted to go here and have a quick look at this 3 Series BMW, this Alpina spec. This is a rare car, this is. This is the E21. It's a BMW C1, the 2.3 straight 6 engine in this one. All the period Alpina stripes on the side and the wheels. These were a very distinctive wheel on the Alpinas, the 3 and the 5 Series cars. That's a beauty, that is. I haven't seen this one before. Yeah, such a crisp, smart, not unnecessarily fussy design, whereas you look at some of the modern BMWs today and they're just appalling looking cars, but these and the E30s that came afterwards are just really classy. The Alpina C1 is a real rarity. Harley's waxing lyrical about MGBs. You like GTs, don't you?
I like the GT. I really do like them.
More than the Roadster?
Yes, probably, because it looks better. Looks better, more practical.
Well, there's more headroom in the GT compared to the Roadster because it's a much taller windscreen.
Depends on how we go.
There's a lot more headroom. So if you're if you're very tall or you wear a top hat, then the GT is the one for you.
I really like the shape of them.
Yeah.
I like how they're still sort of cheap and there are parts everywhere for them what to do.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
I know they're a bit common, but
the show itself officially will finish at 4 o'clock.
Some goodies for sale. Car and car conversions. There's a sticker that's on the back of the Standard now.
Standard intensifies.
Yeah.
There's no extra charge to bring your vehicle in the arena.
What have we got down here? Carburetor bits. Old lamp. Now the more modern cars over here aren't really in the remit of the old classic car website, forum and YouTube channel, but we'll have a quick scoot round because these are all somebody's pride and joy, even if they're not really within the scope of this channel.
Medical attention, then say if you can make your way over to the
There's that nifty little C15 Citroen based Roma Home camper.
give them a shout and then they'll come to you very quickly.
Great stuff. Now here's the E33 series I was talking about before. We got the E21 over the back, the Alpina.
Today, they can just sit back and relax.
You've untucked your shirt. Good heavens. Standards are slipping. So which model is this? It could be a 318, a 325i. Well, short of the M3, this is the one that people want nowadays. Lovely straight 6 2.5 litre engine. My brother had one of these back in the day. His was metallic bluey grey. That had alley wheels. This has still got the original plastic wheel trims, which is probably quite unusual on one of these. A 325i on steel wheels with trims. Must be quite a rarity, I would have thought. Somewhat modified Golf, isn't it?
So please, if you do find anything,
Someone's parked an A-Class here. Super shiny. Right, what have we got over here then? This looks like one of the Mexican build VW Beetles on an 06 plate. Yeah, it's an 06, it's probably a Mexican one, I would have thought. Well, they made them in Mexico after Germany. Now we've got an XJ Saloon here, an XJ with just the chrome corner bumpers, as opposed to the ones that go all the way across, the bumper blade that goes all the way across. So that's the V8, that's the X308. If the blade goes all the way across, it's the X300 that came before with the 6-cylinder. Hello, doggy. Hello. How are you? You're a nice doggy.
He's got the right idea.
Got a Carlton GSI, XJS. Here's the earlier X300 with a straight 6 in it. There's that Quattro we saw coming before. What a glorious example that is. Proper metal plates on it as well.
what I understand, but you've got the opportunity of walking all round.
Coupe version of the Rover 800 we saw driving in. That's for sale, ladies and gentlemen. S-Class.
And enjoy the
Escort RS.
this fabulous venue here at Weston Park. Right, I'll be back.
Just going to have a look at that XJS at the end there. We've got an XJS convertible. Wow, 6-cylinder car. Jag registration. Back to where we started, sports and convertibles row. So the mixed bag of older cars and newer cars here, so we'll just have a quick scoot along just to see what we can see. Got a groovy looking Lotus, is that an XL? Scooby-Doo. A Daimler 2.5 V8, that's nice. Wire wheels, cutaway rear arches, a bit like the Coombs modified Jaguars of the 1960s. Now, is it a manual or is it auto? They did do a few manuals, but this is an auto. Got a column shifter, but a few of them had the floor-mounted gear change. But we're literally talking a few hundred of those were made, the floor-mounted manual versions of the Daimler. There's our little MX5 basking in the sun. Porsche 306 Cabriolet, another XJS. An XJS Coupe this time, pre-facelift. What have we got at the end here? Got a TVR Chimera. One of those on a day like this would be a lot of fun, I think. So a quick scoot round road 2 and the sports and convertibles. Got a Merc there. RX-7 rotary engine. Z3s, some Porsches. We had the Z3 2.8 a couple of years ago. It was a lovely car, that was. A bit like a big Healy, really. That's an Exige. Yeah, the Z3 with the 2.8 was a lovely car. It was just like a big Healy. Big 6-cylinder, heavy 6-cylinder engine in the front, sat over the back wheels. It was a lot of fun. Not as agile as the MX5 that we've got now. That's a much lighter, more nimble car. The Z3 was a bit more of a bruiser, but it was a great car to drive. Got an E36 3 Series, mini convertible, and a TVR with very odd paint at the end here. Not sure what you call this paint, but certainly distinctive. I feel I should be taking my hat off really, but this is the Rolls-Royce Enthusiast Club. We've got a Silver Spirit, but much older and much more magnificent is this glorious machine, 4760RO. Look at those, the old Ace number plates. Just getting away with Harley's video now.
Bring it up into the arena.
Beep, beep, beep. A bit of history in the window here. We always like a bit of history. 1958 Silver Wraith Empress Touring Limousine. Again, I'll zoom in on the history and then you can pause the video and have a look at all this. It's quite an interesting write-up. That's a beauty, that is. Look in there. The wind-up partition. What a magnificent car there. Spirit of ecstasy there, basking in the sun. Here we've got GW2067, also on the Rolls-Royce enthusiast stand. What an engine that is, good grief.
People got angry at you for reading out the registration.
Yeah, people don't like me reading out registration sometimes, but never mind. And this good, wonderful saloon, I think we've seen this one before.
Yes, please. Yes, let's get those two Land
Yeah,
Rover, military Land Rover.
that's a proper car, isn't it? What does it say? 2025 1934 Barker-bodied limousine. Supplies does the London car for Lady Strickland of Sizer Castle, Westmoreland. Present ownership since 1961. Good heavens.
So, anything commercial? Anything military?
This is a handsome beast as well.
Any 4x4s down there? Range Rover, Discovery, Land Rover. Any other
From the days when Rolls-Royces weren't too footballer or TV personality back then. It was there's more old money tended to buy these back in the day, but obviously it's changed a bit now.
Anyone that comes into the arena will be an exhibition.
And we've got Bentley alongside the Rolls. And here another vintage Rolls-Royce. Good heavens. So which one's this? Is there any information on it? Might have to look this one up. AVR 679. Oh, I've got another club stand here, so let's go and have a look. See what variety of cars. We've got some modern XKs. It's like the earlier XK8 at the end. One like Dad's, the X350. Another XK. Golf Cabriolet. And the Morris. I think we saw this one at Smallwood. Split window Morris Series 2. These are the first of the Morrises to have the A-Series overhead valve engine, lifted from the A30. It says it's for sale, there you go. I think it's an early Series 2, I think. Still got the dash of the late MMs. And this has got the long body moulding rather. Because many of the two-door cars, they stop this moulding around the back of the roof, stops at the bottom of the gutter. But for a while they had this extended moulding. I'm not quite sure what that was about. Let me know in the comments if you know why some of these cars, some of these Morris Minors had that extended body moulding, but it was certainly a thing of the 1950s for a while. Cheese grater grill. That's the grill that the last of the MMs had. The late MMs had a cheese grater grill. And then after a while they went to the horizontal slatted grill, which carried on throughout the rest of the production with the Morris 1000. Well, that's quite neat, that is. A fun little car to bomb around in. Moggy pickup. Like that van we saw before, separate chassis on these. The Morris Traveller. Most of the wood is structural on these, so when you start getting a bit of rot in your timbers, you've got a problem. Forestry Commission Moggy van. Beautiful that is. And again, you can see, as I've mentioned many times, the vans and the pickups don't have a moulding on the side. But for the benefit of people who haven't seen the earlier videos, the Saloons and the Travellers etc. do have a moulding on the side. Why they bother differentiating between the two and having separate part numbers and everything and having to stock both types in, you know, just doesn't really make any sense to me. But then it was BMC, and not everything they did made total sense. It's nice to see those two together. What a great pair, same colour. This is a bit of information in the window of this Traveller. Let's have a quick peek at that. We always like a bit of history. There we go, 1968 ex-Army Morris Minor 1000 Traveller. Hopefully you can read that. Demobbed, 15th of March 1977. Let's have a bit of history there with the military. Great stuff. anyone watching this who takes their cars to shows like this, please put an information board in the window, because it's really nice to read a bit more about these things. Next up we've got a 1964 Morris 1000. Real survivor car that is, wow. I think I'll probably be inclined to reach for an oiler rag at some point, just to sort of keep things from deteriorating too more. But here you can see this is also a two-door like the early one that we saw over there, but the moulding stops at the gutter, whereas on the other car over there the gutter stops here and the moulding continues a bit further. Why they did that is anyone's guess. Again, let me know if you know. I've got another club stand here, can't quite read it because I'm on the wrong side. That's a Jensen SV8, they didn't make many of those. They only made a few hundred of these, if that. Probably not even that, maybe even been less than 100. Super rare car. So while it's a bit modern for the channel, please forgive me. But we're back to more traditional fare here with a Riley RM. Dad's had Riley RMs back in the 1960s. It's a glorious car, that is. Let's have a quick peek at the dash. If you're buying one of these, check the roof, because it's a strange composite. You've got wire mesh and padding and then this sort of Everflex material over the roof. But when you start seeing them bubbling up around the back of the roof, you know you've got problems. Let's have a look. 1949 Riley RMA. There we go, there's a bit of history about it.
Just another thing I've been asked to mention, ladies and gentlemen, and of course it's very, very important. If you have got animals and dogs here today, particularly...
Yep, 1949, this particular car. Have a look at the grille badge. They did two versions of these, engine-wise. They did the 1.5 litre and the 2.5 litre. The way to tell them apart, at least from the outside, without the bonnet being raised, the 1.5 litre has a dark blue background to the badge. The 2.5 litre has a pale blue background. So that's what you look out for. And there's that S-Type we saw coming in. Lovely car on chrome wires. In my mind, not many cars suit chrome wires, but I think that does. This was loosely based on the Mark II, of course. It was a bit of a stopgap model, really, until the XJ came along. The XJ was introduced in 1968 and was a whole, it was more or less a clean sheet of paper, although the engine was based on the earlier cars, the XK series engine. But the big difference between these and the Mark II, I mean the Mark II had more of a curved down back, this has a more distinctive boot lid. But under the skin, the big difference was these had independent rear suspension, the very famous Jaguar independent rear suspension setup, as appeared on the E-Types and later XJs, whereas the Mark II didn't, it just had a solid back axle. So many people say the S-Types are the better car to drive, but it seems to be the Mark IIs that people want more than the S-Type. I don't know which I'd prefer, to be honest, but I'd be quite happy with either of them, I think. The little Morris 1000 there. Seems to me that most of the interesting old cars are actually tucked away over the far side here. There's that Elan Plus 2 that drove in before. Really nice car, a little bit bigger than the standard Lotus Elan. And this would be the one I'd have, 2+2. Yeah, this would be the one I have, I think. Jensen Interceptor, big Chrysler V8 engine under that bonnet. This is what the FF was based on. The FF had the four-wheel drive Ferguson formula, and you can tell those visually by a slightly longer front and two sets of grills in the front wings. But if they've got the one set like this car, it's the standard Interceptor. There's a bit of history for you. 1968 Interceptor Mark 1. Chrysler big block, 383 cubic inch, 6.3 litre, 330 brake horsepower. These Bentleys are a bit tasty, I must admit, for a modern car for me. We've got a Corniche, lovely. C registered Sebring. This is a Healey replica. Very smart car. Modern style door handles, a bit of a giveaway. Now here's that Triumph Roadster that came in before. Now this is a stunning car. Look at the colour on that, metallic.
You know where it said there's a train, you go over the bridge.
So you've got two seats in the front. And a beautiful wooden dashboard, proper timber. And there's plastic veneer rubbish.
Troll anyway, really.
And extra seats in the back. If there's someone you don't like, you put them in the back here. But compared to many dicky seats that you see on vintage cars, this has got a built-in screen. In the vintage days, like when you've got your big old Taurus of the 1920s and 1930s, you could buy clip-in windscreens for the rear seat or the dicky seat passengers rather, called Auster screens, A-U-S-T-E-R. But these Triumphs had that built in, so you got proper glass windows. It keeps some of the draft and the weather off the people that are sat in the back. So what a magnificent car that is. A proper car. Just post-war. Really, really stylish car. Do you like that?
Yeah, it's really... Sorry, my voice went again. Yeah, that's really nice, isn't it?
It's beauty.
The front's just so elegant, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like the Honda as well, the exposed ones. You don't get many of that.
No.
That sort of thing.
No, proper quality.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Got no-tech blue spot lamps on the front. One fog and one spot. It was like a 1950s.
I couldn't tell which.
I think that's a spot on the left, and that's the fog, I think. Someone will tell me if I'm wrong. Probably am. A nice RSE badge as well. But yeah, I mean, the cost of restoring a car like this would be fairly epic, to be honest. There's a lot going on there. Paint and chrome, interior. Some were 1800, I think, and some were 2 litre.
So would they both be 4-cylinder?
1800cc engine, 4-speed gearbox before changing halfway through production to the 2 litre standard Vanguard engine with 3-speed gear change. There you go. The 5-seat Roadster was the last standard production model in the British motor industry to have dicky seats in the rear. It's thought that some 800, 1800 and 2000 Roadsters remain out of 4,500 produced from 1946 to 1949. Next to that magnificent Triumph is this lovely MG Magnet. These are available as a ZA or the ZB, and you had a Veritone with a big back window, which I think this has got a big back window compared to the earlier cars. Lovely cars, straight 4-cylinder engine, BMC B-Series engine under the bonnet of these.
Would it only be a 4-cylinder?
Yeah, it's a Gerald Palmer design. The same guy designed the Wolseley 444, on which this was more or less based. And he also designed the Jowett Javelin.
Oh.
And there's that super snipe that we saw pulling in before. Monaco. This is a great car. This is so practical. I'd love to have this. This would be the perfect run around. This would do me just perfectly. I love this. And Junior's getting to sit behind the wheel of it. Let's have a quick look at the infos in the window. Humber Super Snipe Series 2 Estate 1960. There we go. So that's a list of all the work done so far. All here. Work to do. There's always work to do. And what's it like to drive? Lovely burble at the back. Stainless steel exhaust. I love the sort of split tailgate arrangement, a bit like on the Range Rovers that came later. You've got these wraparound rear side windows, which is very similar to those on the F-Type Vauxhall Victor. A bit of an American influence there, I think. But that's just a beautiful car, that is.
When did you apply this car?
Tucked away on the end, next to that lovely old Humber, is this Morris 10.4. This is a pre-series Morris 10.4, mid-1930s. Really smart little pre-war car hidden away here. It's got the full-width wheel disc, something you see more often on the more expensive cars of the day. And these were a Morris fitment. Really unusual signals there. A bit like a traffic light, really. They didn't make those for, or didn't fit those for long. I've always had in my mind that those were fitted sort of more late 20s, early 1930s. But definitely something that Morris fitted. That's a lovely car inside. Great smell, wish you could smell that. You've got a roll down visor, a roll visor. I've never seen one of those before. I've seen rear window visors that wind down. Got a trunk on the back, because of course you didn't really have a boot space in these. Something else here which I'm just going to point out. Obviously the cars this here have the pop-up semaphore indicators between the doors. Sometimes they're mounted on the scuttle where those lamps are, and you have the separate box with a pop-up semaphore indicator. But when they were standard fitment on cars, more often than not, they were built into the B pillar there. And if you look, I'm not sure if we can see actually, if you look just up in the top corner above the screen, I'm not sure if we can see that, but there's a little mirror. If I just go around the other side, you'll see these little mirrors that I'm talking about. Let's just have a look. So if you look in the top corner there, you can see a very, very small circular mirror. Now, I know in a nosy type of car will know instantly what that's for. That is so that the driver can make sure, there's one up there as well, that is in order that the driver can see that the pop-up indicators have actually dropped down properly and they've actually self-cancelled, because they were a bit prone to sticking. These were, they'd either stick in and not come on when you turn the switch, or they'd stick out, and then when you open the door and get out you bang into them and snap them off. So those little mirrors and the top corners there were designed that you'd have a quick glance in those before anyone got out the front seats, the front doors opening, just to make sure that these weren't stuck out and you didn't walk into them and snap them off. So that's what that's for. That's a lovely car. Many, many period accessories. But the accessories that it's got are all in period, which is just how it should be. And a very nice ashtray on the top of the dash there. I don't think that was a standard fitment, but let me know if I'm wrong.
There is a car club for these things, and I've just been speaking to the chair.
That's a really smart car. Rival to the Austin 1004, the chrome rad car that we saw driving in before. This was Morris's equivalent. Harley's busy yakking to the Humber's owner here.
Thank you very, very much indeed for taking that.
Good heavens, what engine is that? I have no idea. A Nissan twin cam 16 valve engine.
Yeah, I've just seen it, yeah.
Buy it, that's a tight fit. That must go pretty well. It's a really unusual sunroof as well. Huge glass roof, 2 pieces. Tilting. No idea what that's about. I've never seen one of those before. Still a bit work in progress with the wiring. Probably can't see that with the reflections, but yeah, really unusual car. So, I mean, look how tight fit that is. Good heavens. Wonder what the cooling's like. I'm surprised it hasn't got a louvered bonnet, just to try and keep the temperatures down a bit. Incredible conversion. And what's this one? Got another one. This is a Mini this time, Mini convertible with a Nissan twin cam wedged into it. That's a real wolf in sheep's clothing, isn't it? Got a Mini with a flip front and a twin cam Rover engine in it. By gum. Seem to be in the modified car corner, but tucked away over here is a Mini 25. Now I like that. There aren't many discoveries that have me walk all the way over here, but help yourself free, says the sign. So what have we got in here then? Engine bearings. If only I knew what these things were for. That's a BMC jack, sort of thing the A40 would have had. Got some Ford stuff here. I'm surprised this is still here. Ford service item. There's a fuel tank sender. Ford new old stock sender. I'm surprised no one's grabbed that yet. Ferodo fan belt. I'm not sure what number that is, but I've got a book somewhere at home, so I think we'll probably have that. So what's this? A kingpin set. But what's it for? Help yourself.
The older ones.
But those are probably quite hard to find then. So what's that? Allegro or Hillman Avenger, something like that. Over here we've got American Corn, and a Chevy El Camino heads the line up, the pickup. a mighty pickup. It's very similar to the Australian Utes, with sort of a combined body, not a separate rear body and cab. The Ford Torino, bit Starsky and Hutch vibe going on here. Although theirs didn't have the little opera window in the back, so I'm guessing it's a different trim level. I don't know anything about those at all. This is a Dodge. There's that Sunbeam Alpine. It's just heading into the display arena. It's for sports cars and convertibles, etc. We've got some scooters here. I know there's one or two scooter fans who watch these videos, so let's have a quick look at this Lambretta from 1961.
Come on, we've got plenty of room. Dinner.
Right, let's head over here. We've got Morris Travellers and the really rare Herald Estate. That's a cool car, I like that. There's that Sunbeam, the Rapier, the fastback Rapier. Saw that driving in before. Before I forget, I just want to have a look over here at these Borg wards. We just go past this Morris Traveller. A lovely Bedford CA, a Dormobile. It's that Martin Walter conversion. Isn't that lovely, that? So that's a Series 2, so it's got a shallow one-piece screen as opposed to the two split windows.
Porthole windows.
It's not a porthole one, this, no. I think that's just the earlier ones.
Front's different.
And here we've got these two Borg wards that I caught a glimpse of coming in before. This is an Isabella Coupe, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's a hot day today. A quick peek inside. Next to that, super rare coupe. There's a super rare station wagon.
Yeah, the old traders.
Isn't that just wonderful? What a fantastic car that is. Two-door station wagon. Super shiny Morris alongside. Let's have a closer look at this Borg wall, because this is a real rarity. A beautiful car, that is such a rare car. Although I say that word a lot, but I only try and use it when it applies. And I think in this case, this Isabella station wagon, it certainly applies. Right, here's an A40 Countryman, there you go, the split rear tailgate. Mark 1 Countryman, no less. Plenty of history here. First registered 6th of August 1960. Next to that, wow, look at this Rolls-Royce here now. What bodywork is that? That is a very sleek looking car. I mean, it's right-hand drive, but there's an air of the American about that, with the lines of this particular car. What a glorious machine that is. There's a very tidy MG-A. It's got the knock-on wheels, a bit like the twin cam versions had. I don't think this is a twin cam, 1600 it says on here. So that's the B series engine, good old BMC favourite. Now, Armstrong Siddeley. This is the Star Sapphire. It's very similar to the Sapphire, but that had a taller grille. This one, the grille stopped at the bottom of the bonnet. Hope I've got that the right way round. These were a real quality car of the day. Sadly consigned to the history books. I'm not even sure if they made it. Did they make it into the 1960s? Probably just about, but by the mid-60s they were gone, as far as I remember, at least in car production, but I'm not an expert on Armstrong Siddeley's. And look at this Sunbeam Rapier. What an eye-catching car that is. Windows open, so you've got the pillarless coupe look. Of course, it's based on the humble Hillman Minx. But these were altogether Swisher. Very, very stylish little car that is. Series 3A, two-door hardtop coupe, 1592cc, built February 1963. The Jensen CV8, sorry? Well, it's got wolf races on it, isn't it? There's a Jensen CV8. This was here last time, wasn't it? I do like these. Big Chrysler V8, just like the later Interceptor. The CV8 came along between the 541, which was a 6-cylinder, and of course the Interceptor. The CV8 is mostly fiberglass. Fiberglass front, very heavy duty fiberglass, but it is fiberglass. The doors, okay, the doors are alley skinned, they're not fiberglass, but most of it is. A very swish car. The looks did divide opinions a little bit. This is a 1965 car. I think there are 3 different series of these, but they're all very similar. There's a Vauxhall Viscount. Really upmarket car in the Vauxhall range back in the day. Yeah, some fruity looking exhaust sticking out under the back door there. Let's have a look over here. There's a few oldies over here, so we don't want to miss those out because we like old cars. Okay, what MG do we have here then? All very similar. It's a TC 1948. Full nut and bolt restoration recently completed. Wow. And there's that standard that came in before. It's a 1948. Oh, it is a 12. Standard 12 coupe. 1609cc side valve engine. Like I say, the pre-war the flying 12, they had vents in the side of the bonnet. But the post-war 12s and the 8s and so on, the non-flying cars of the post-war age, were just called by their engine size. It's a really rare survivor. I haven't seen this one before. The immaculate modified Anglia, I think this one is. This is a pop. Sunbeam Alpine, Sunbeam Talbot Alpine. No, got an A35. That's a 948cc car. The XK150. Another Austin 10.4. So we've got the chrome rad one is over there. AXY 319, and that was replaced with this, which was still a 10.4, same engine basically, but it's got the patented radiator cowl now. This is a 10.4 Litchfield. It's very similar to the Ruby, but Rubies were never 4-door. This is a 10.4 Litchfield. This has been going to classic car shows locally for years. I think I've always remembered this car around since I started going to classic car shows in the, well, whenever that was, late 80s. Right, let's go and have a look at the autojumble. See if there's anything interesting lurking over there.
Tied out price free.
Yeah, they're going to be a bit. Many gems. There's a bit of TV action going on.
Hasn't he? Do you think would you take an offer? Would you take an offer? Yeah, story of my life, mate. Right then, Henry, it's a pleasure to have you here today, and it's been obviously a pleasure to talk to you. And the last time I did this with a so-called celebrity, his name was Clarkson.
Oh,
yeah,
look
what happened to him.
Yeah, but I live quite close to Jeremy.
Yeah.
He's a good lad.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, actually.
He's all right.
Yeah, I know he is. Yeah,
He's all right.
Yeah.
He likes a glass of claret, and he likes life, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Eh?
Now, if there was an award here today for Oily Ragger, original car, this wonderful Triumph TR's got to be right up there. Wow. It's a TR2. Because it hasn't got the it's got the open front on it, and of course it says there's the giveaway. Period racy rear-view mirrors on it. I do like that. Nice old radio in there, all transistor, good heavens.
Great.
I hadn't realised that this Mark III Mini that I pointed out had Cooper S wheels is in fact a Mini Cooper S. It's a Mark III Cooper S. These are quite rare. And I do like the old Brielle sticker in the back window. What a neat little car that is. At first glance you'd have no clue that that was actually a Cooper S. A bit of filming of things being bought, so we'll keep out of the way because we don't want to get in there. Ooh. There goes that Triumph Herald 1360 Estate. You don't see too many of those now. There goes a Lancaster, we saw that yesterday at Alton Park.
Come on, big boy. I think that one is 91. Simon Templar. That's quiet. I like that.
Very, very old.
Right, well, I think we've had a look around everything that's here today at Weston Park, so we're going to wander back, I think, aren't we? We're going to wander. Car what? Car traction. Never heard of it. Yeah.
Oh,
Let's go on there. So hopefully that video was of interest. There's quite a few It's all right. There's quite a few classic cars here. If you found this video of interest, please check out some of the other show reviews and museum visits that we've put up here before. And there'll be more videos along very, very soon. So bye for now.
We've got
A Ford Cortina Mark III. XJS convertible. Perfect for a day like this in an MG Magnet. Lovely car.